Good evening, everybody. Talk about two really tough acts to follow. So my name is Kane. I am with Whole Foods Market. I'm the Eco Czar for the North Atlantic region, and I'm also the regional forager. Somebody said they, always wanted to meet. I think Mindy said she always wanted to meet a czar. Our CEO, John Mackey, who has been in the news recently, but we're not going to talk about John tonight. At least I'm not. You might, but hates my title. He says, czar has absolute power and you have absolutely none. I say, John, that's true, but that forces me to be extremely strategic, so it's a good thing, actually. It's a fun title. It opens doors and it gets people to laugh, and that's really the purpose of the czar part of my title. I've been with Whole Foods Market now for 17 years. I tend to have long-term relationships. I was in my last job for almost 20 years, and this has been the best career I've ever had in my life. It's the best company I've ever worked for, and I'm not here to be a foil for Whole Foods Market either, but it's been a tremendous company to work for a bunch of reasons, and I'm going to cover some of those tonight. But in terms of the environment, one of the best things about Whole Foods Market is that what we call our green mission is in our DNA. It comes from our team members up to the top. It doesn't necessarily come top down, and I think that's partly why it's been as effective as it has, and I want to talk a little bit tonight about how that works on the ground. I'm a guy who works on the ground with the team members in our stores. I don't operate at the high levels of our company. I on first name basis with most of our executives and our CEOs, and have an open door and an open communication with all of them, but really the work that I do is based in the stores and in our facilities with our team members. We have about 80,000 team members in Whole Foods Market. We're also a really small player in the retail market. Mark said something, I think 2,400 stores are in that neighborhood, Mark. We're 350. So in terms of even retail grocery chains, there are a lot of those out there in the United States that are 2,000 store chains. We're 350. So, we try to be as practical and pragmatic as we possibly can about what our impact can be. We tend to have a halo effect in the marketplace. People think of us as being bigger and more potent than maybe we actually are, but I do think we're influential. I think people really listen to us and pay attention to what we say, and we try to leverage that as much as we possibly can. We also have a tremendous opportunity through social media. We have a huge utilization of social media, and we really try to take advantage of that. So a lot of what we do in the market is we try to be a conduit for information for our stakeholders and our shareholders. We try to bring them the best possible information that we can and try to give them as many choices as we possibly can. So, our strategy, for example, in terms of what we sell in our stores, we bring in food from all over the planet. There is a tremendous impact in terms of doing that. Our customers expect that from us, they demand that from us, but they also want to know as much as they possibly can what the true impact is of bringing in strawberries from Chile or grapes from Venezuela or whatever it happens to be. So we're trying to make that as transparent as we possibly can. So when people make a purchasing decision, for example, whether they're going to actually buy those strawberries out of season or whether they're going to wait and buy them locally in season, and what are the relative merits of doing either one of those choices, at least they'll know, at least they'll be informed and take responsibility for those choices. So let me talk to you a little bit about some of the components of what we call our green mission. We published our first ever Green Mission report this year. You can find it on our website. If you go to WholeFoodsMarket.com and go to the Values tab, it brings up Green Mission, and the report is there. It's rather lengthy, and it's not just environmental. It has to do with all of our sustainability programs. So I encourage you, if you are curious, to take a look at that. It's a good report. I think it really says a lot about what we do and the impact that we have in the marketplace. One of the things that we disclaim, and I will disclaim tonight, is that in terms of our carbon impact, we are still on a learning curve. In 2008, we made a corporate decision to install monitoring devices in all of our locations so that we could measure, and again, Mindy said, you can't change what you can't measure. We didn't have a really good handle on what we were using in terms of energy, for example, or water. We needed to install tracking devices so that we could start to measure that and we could start to get a sense of what our full impact was across our entire enterprise. So we've been doing that. We, at this point in time, have 100% of our locations on that monitoring system, and now we're able to do some comparisons and take a look at some of the variables like geographic regions and climate and things like that to help us understand our footprint. We did, however, in 2010 set a fairly aggressive goal, probably could have been more aggressive, of reducing our energy usage by 25% per square foot by the year 2015. We're a good part of the way along towards that goal at this point in time, and we couldn't have set that goal and done anything with it unless we were able to measure what our actual energy usage was. So we're kind of at that stage right now where we're learning, we're really getting the inputs that we need to examine what our impacts are, so that we can set reasonable goals and pursue those. Some of the things that we do, again, we're a grocery chain. You know, we feed people. That's what our mission is on the planet, and we're a mission-driven company. We have 7 core values that drive our business. One of the things I think that really differentiates us is that all of our team members, down to the folks on the floor, have a lot of passion about our mission. They come to us, they come to work for Whole Foods Market because they really care about the impact that they'll be able to have working with a mission-driven company. Many of them come to us because they perceive us as a green company, whatever that means, and they want to work for a company where they feel like they can have an impact. And our team members have an impact every day. Just before I came here this evening, I had a meeting with our green team in the Medford store in Medford, Massachusetts. And we were looking at how do you get people on board with this mission? How do you get team members who come to us excited, who come to us wanting to make a difference? How do you get them on a day in and day out basis to do things that really will make a difference and to feel good about that and to know what their impact is? So 70% of our waste stream is organic material, compostable material, between food waste, soiled paper, waxed cardboard, things like that. That's a huge percentage of our waste stream. So one of the things that we do is we make a commitment that we are going to divert as much of that 70% or more of our waste stream as we possibly can to composting. And our team members are the ones who do that. So as they're working at their stations, they have 3 containers available to them. They have a composting container, which is green. We color code everything, it makes it a lot simpler. They have a recycling container, which is blue, and they have a trash container or landfill container, which is gray or black. And it's easily accessible, it's well signed. They don't have to walk across the whole store to put something in the right container. And you know, we train them about what goes where. And we talk about the fact that, you know, if you bury organic materials, if you bury food waste, it's going to become methane. Methane is by far the most potent greenhouse gas there is. It's 70 times or more potent than carbon dioxide over a 20-year period. So just by working at your station, just by putting food waste into the green container, you're keeping it out of the landfill, you're helping to avoid methane emissions. So things like that really make it very accessible for our team members so that they know they're having an impact. We're also, by the way, working very hard to eliminate the word waste from our vocabulary. We have a zero waste goal. We're about to formalize that from the corporate level this year, so that under EPA regulations, if you're diverting 90% of your waste stream to composting, recycling, or reuse, and you know, are left with about 10% of your waste stream that there's no solution for currently, that's trash, you're hitting a zero waste goal. We have the majority of our stores across the country right now are diverting a minimum of 70% of their waste, and most of them are hitting the high 80s, getting close to 90%, because we're taking real care to train people to how to get to zero waste and talking really every day, day in and day out, about the impact of that. And we're doing that, you know, for our team members, but we're doing that for our customer base as well. We're doing that for our other stakeholders, our vendor partners, our suppliers. What we're trying to do is create a model for them and show them that it can be done, that this is a company that has set this as a goal, and that these are important goals for us to try to reach together. We don't talk about it as us versus them. It's, you know, this is our goal, our collaborative goal is zero waste. We talk about why that is. You know, we can't afford waste any longer. When you throw something away, does it go away? It's still with us. So, you know, it really has to go somewhere where it's going to become useful. It's going to have another life, or, you know, many more lives. So, anyway, we basically look at everything that we do in a Whole Foods market and try to think about what the climate impact and what the environmental impact of those things are going to be. So when we build our buildings, for example, we're building, if not to certification under LEED or Green Globe standards, we're building to the standards and criteria for those evaluations. And all of our stores and all of our facilities going forward are built to minimum of LEED criteria or LEED standards. Again, we're not going through the certification process and all those, although we have, I think, almost 100 locations at this point in time that are certified to LEED standards, and quite a few that are certified up to gold LEED standards, or 3 Green Globes, which is the equivalent of gold LEED. And again, what's important is that we're making those decisions, and we're trying to show that, you know, a business like ours not only can attain these, but we can do it and save money at the same time. We're demonstrating pretty significant energy savings by building to LEED standards. Yeah, and at the same time, we're kind of raising the bar and saying this is something that we should be doing collaboratively. I want to talk a little bit about a model that we kind of stumbled across a few years back. Actually, it was about 9 years ago, right after I came into the EcoZar role, when we were looking at how do we create the infrastructure that we need to start a composting system. There are a number of other retail grocery chains, as you all know, that operate in New England and operate in Massachusetts. And until we started to think about this collaboratively, none of us could get anywhere with composting. When I started in my EcoZar job in 2003, we weren't composting at all. Again, 70% of our waste stream, compostable material, put it into the landfill, it creates methane. We weren't composting at all because we didn't have an infrastructure to allow that to happen. What we did is, working through the Mass Food Association and the Mass Department of Environmental Protection, brought all of the retail grocery chains in Massachusetts together at the same table and talked about, if we really want to make this happen, we can't do it individually, we can't do it on our own. We need Stop and Shop, we need Shaw's, we need Roach Brothers at the table, we need Johnny's Food Master, you know, we need Market Basket to all come together and help us put together an infrastructure so that we can divert organic materials. And it wasn't until we did that that we were able to get waste haulers to say, hey, there's enough route density here now to make it worthwhile to put a truck on the road to pick up these materials. Until then, it was like, you know, it's not worth our while to do that. By the same token, we couldn't get compost facilities to go through the permitting process to set up industrial scale food waste compost programs. It just, you know, there wasn't enough business there basically to make that happen. When we came together and we collaborated and we started to put together trucking routes, got the route density, we started to purchase containers in bulk so that, you know, all of the chains together were able to negotiate prices so that we could make these green bins and black bins and blue bins in our stores affordable and accessible, and get the manufacturers to go into their plants and manufacture those containers for us. That's when things changed. And since then, the vast majority of the supermarket chains in Massachusetts are now actively composting their food waste. And, you know, again, diverting anywhere from, depending on what the chain is, from 50% up to 90% of their materials from the waste stream. So I think that's a model that we really need to think about for the future. It's, you know, where competition drives the marketplace, where can collaboration step in and really, you know, in certain areas. I mean, we're a highly competitive company. You know, we've got that in our bones as well. So we compete with each other. We have our stores compete with each other over who can do the best job at diverting our waste, you know, who can do the best job selling groceries, because that's what we do. Our regions compete with each other, but now we're at the point where we're finding ways to create healthy competition and collaboration with other chains like our own. So it's just, again, I want to suggest that as a model for moving forward. I think we're going to really need that spirit of collaboration and that willingness to come together around things that are going to make or break our civilization, basically, our humanity. Again, packaging. Mark mentioned packaging briefly. We have a corporate policy that our packaging is going to be compostable or recyclable. We're not going to have anything that's single-use disposable. We're not quite there yet, but we're making pretty aggressive strides towards that. And again, we're finding that we're able to drive the market for those kinds of materials because people, the manufacturers, the producers of that kind of packaging recognize that's where we're headed. That's the direction that we're headed. So, they can't afford any longer to put all their R&D resources into developing packaging that's going to end up in the landfill. First of all, we can't afford that as a people. We can't afford to be burying our resources. So, again, we're creating this packaging now that our consumers can take home. We have salad bar containers. If you know our stores, there's a salad bar container that's made from bulrush or cattails. Basically, it's a fiber container. You can take it home. You can put it in your home compost bin. It disappears in a relatively short period of time. So again, modeling the opportunities, modeling the things that are accessible. We have, Mark talked about the solar installations. We worked with the same company early on. In fact, I learned a whole lot from Mark, and he's been a tremendous mentor for me in my career. But we developed the same model where we had a third party own and operate the solar systems on our rooftops. We have huge rooftops that are basically empty except for our equipment, but not much else up there. So now we have quite a number of stores. I think we have upwards of 40 stores that have solar photovoltaic systems. We have signed leases for another 20 or so. Several, not as many as Staples has, but several of our facilities also have significant size solar installations. So we're getting the benefit of the roof protection. We're getting the benefit of the solar, power generation. It's a great story to tell, again, because we have access to so many customers. We tell that story through social media. We have kiosks in some of our stores so people can actually see what's up on the roof because it's kind of invisible. If you're not up on the rooftop, you can't really see what's up there. We also have fuel cells in 4 of our stores now. We here in New England were the first to put them in. Our Glastonbury, Connecticut store was the first supermarket in America to have a fuel cell. That was a 200 kilowatt system. Soon after that, we built our Dedham, Massachusetts store, which happens to be the greenest supermarket on the planet right now. So if you haven't been there, you should visit. It's an amazing store. We have a 400 kilowatt fuel cell and a 70 kilowatt solar installation on the roof of that store, and combined they generate 90% of the power, clean, on-site renewable energy. That store stays open when we have these massive hurricanes or when we have any kind of weather conditions. When the grid goes down, the store stays open. We're able to do business. We're able to take care of our communities. So, again, just some examples of things. We're a grocery, we're a supermarket. We're a grocery store. We're mission driven, so we're trying to do the right thing in every sphere that we possibly can. And I guess if I have any message to leave tonight is that, that's how I see the role of business, to be an influence wherever we can on all of our stakeholders, to show what can be done, to put the resources in there to demonstrate that these things can and should be done, and they, they make good business sense and they make good sense for us as a species. So I'll close with that. Thank you.